I don't really have much of a plan for this talk. But it's sometimes hard to know. Do we have a plan? Can you, is it possible not to have a plan? I guess the plan in its simplest form is to talk about some recent thinkings, recent discoveries, journey. So nice just sitting here. I suppose the main idea that arises is the concepts of how we always search for something, how we're always, I guess the mind and conditioning wants to plan, wants to figure out. I guess the mind's always been good at that. Maybe the conditioning over many years we learn from a young age, and through schooling and through our professional lives, through our circumstance, society, our friends. We work pretty consistently to figure out. The mind wants to figure everything out. So I guess what brings me here is, like lots of people, I guess, everyone has their story. Everyone has a story. But throughout my life, I suppose there has been traumatic stories. I guess the level of trauma that people might experience can be very varied, very different. And it may not always just be physical trauma. It can be. But I guess I'm thinking more so about the mental side of things. Anyway, through the story we experience things are experienced by the body in life, and then again the mind steps in and wants to figure things out. It wants to work out, perhaps there's guilt. There's a feeling of guilt sometimes of, like, why couldn't it be better? Like, what did I do wrong? The mind trying so hard to figure everything out. So anyway, I mean that's a good thing. I guess I'm not saying that that's not ignored. It's good to be reflective, which in the last few years, I think, you know, through things like YouTube, there are so many resources available that discuss people's experiences, ways of looking at things. So about 2 years ago, I stumbled across I guess you could say videos and posts on YouTube from spiritual gurus, and there's many. There's many ongoing videos and also archival things from many years back. Lots of different speakers, and I will say, yeah, I definitely felt those points of view helpful. And when I talk about, I guess I talk about spirituality, it's not talking about a particular religion or any kind. The points of view that I gravitated towards the most, I think, were ones that move beyond the concepts, again, of conditioning on how one should live their life and the do's and the don'ts and all that kind of thing, which sometimes religion can follow. Anyhow, I didn't really want to get into the nitty-gritty details of the spiritual practices that are out there. I suppose I'd arrived at them through yoga, which I've done. I started yoga, I don't know, let's say 15 years ago, I guess, out of curiosity, because it seemed like a physical workout to do hot yoga, because I was always physical and liked cycling and training and that kind of thing. So yeah, hot yoga, as well as being physical, always had another element to it, and that was the simple separation between the mind and the body. Like, even when your body is screaming, "Let me out of this room, I want to stop," the ability to, I guess, disconnect from that and observe. And as well as that, I found the yoga practices sort of non-competitive, because everyone that was in the room doing their routine, or doing the same routine as everyone else, was at a very different level. And you know, when I went the first time, I was the person who wanted to leave the room straight away. Meanwhile, you know, there's a row of people in front of you who are like those bendy people, those bendy toys, just very flexible, and obviously had been working at it much longer. So I suppose, like, the non-competitive part of yoga, I found that sort of interesting, that, you know, everyone's on their mat. They have to deal with their own limitations, which I found parallels in music. I play jazz music, and I felt straight away that there was a lot of similarities between what happens in a band, on the bandstand with improvised music, where, you know, everyone's got to take care of their own mat, their own space, their own music, their own inspiration, while being aware of and accepting the vibration that's around. So yeah, I felt like there was a nice symbiosis with those things. So I guess fast forward to digesting a lot of concepts and videos from a range of points of view, to then arrive at a concept called non-duality. And I don't know how these things appeared, but there's one particular person posting now called Suzanne, who I found to be really interesting. I guess I don't want to dig into and explain a non-duality concept, but I suppose for me, what it's relating to is really seeing through the, I suppose it's the illusion, you know, seeing through the illusion of the story. I guess if we talk about the story, we're talking about the story that we tell ourselves about ourselves, the story that we're experiencing in every moment. I mean, it's kind of mind-blowing when you think about that what I'm experiencing right now is just one particular recording, which is, well, if I'm recording it, that's the thing. If I do record it, if I am recording this, not talking about the YouTube recording, I'm talking about my memory. If my memory is recording it, I guess I'm remembering that the way it records is influenced by perceptions and conditionings and prior recordings, and that can continue to change into the future as well. So I guess what that boils down to is that all of the recordings that we've made and we've held so strongly in our mind from the past, from many, many years, they're not real. None of it is real. But we attach so greatly to them. And I suppose at the other end of that spectrum is, as we look forward into the perceived future, which again isn't real, our perception, like we can't see the future, and as we look forward into the future to a future moment that we will record, that again as mentioned, will be, I guess it can be biased, it can be tainted, it can be influenced by our conditioning, how we felt that day, all those other things. I guess the point of that is that attaching again to the future with expectation of what it could be or what it should be is kind of crazy. So what I suppose what this has led to is just the experience of this, of what is. And that can happen in really small ways. Like right now, I'm on an adventurous trip, which I've been thinking about for a long time. I'd say I'd be thinking about this trip for 2 years, and now I'm finally on it. So the question begs: are all my dreams becoming reality? And I will say that even for the last 2 years, I lived reality, because that's all there is. It was only that's all there ever is. And so what's interesting for me is that over even the last, I'd say, couple of months, and in experiencing some of Suzanne's videos, it really started to make some shift in being really, really okay with what is. And also, and then letting go as well of all expectations of what might be. And so a simple example, I suppose, is like you start a day and you sort of have an idea of what might happen, but it's been so blissful to, yeah, sure, have a general idea of what might happen, but then also just as the day progresses, just completely allow things that fall aside. And it's been so funny when things like an example is like I was geared up for a big bike race, I'm so geared up, I trained really hard, and then I ride like 50 k's to the race, and then it's cancelled. and so it's just like, wow. And I found myself just not being attached to that at all, and then making a decision to just go with the flow, and found a group of riders who were continuing on and ended up doing a really beautiful 100k ride. So it's crazy. Every moment can be like that. And I'd say that the same has happened on this trip south. I'm driving from Brisbane to Adelaide, and yeah, what has been in a complete state of change the whole time. Sometimes the road is really rough and there's potholes everywhere, and then you turn a corner and you're descending a national park, but that doesn't last very long. Even that's another concept, is that the happiness and the sadness are all part of it. Like one shouldn't seek only to be happy all the time, because the happiness and the sadness, they're both just experienced, and If something's happy, well, I can say it's happy, and if it's sad, I can say it's sad. But it's sort of not attaching to either of those things. There'll always be two sides to the coin. And overall, this really helps in seeing the world, I guess. You know, what you see taking place around you is your perception, and it's impossible to really know all of it. You're just seeing a glimpse. So it's not, there's no need to attach to all the things you see. And I guess that makes, you can't always believe what you see either. So I guess, yeah, the idea of belief and attachment are very similar. We want to attach and believe what we want to believe, I suppose. But what I'm talking about is not being attached to anything at all.